Faraway Lucas, what's your favourite James Bond moment?
Probably just when I ran around as Oddjob.
I turned you down just a bit too much. I didn't realise I turned you down that much, and I could just say, I'm trapped in a box.
Well, I was gonna say it's my favourite James Bond moment was just running around as Oddjob and just slapping people in the penis on GoldenEye.
Can you imagine, writing that obituary? Legendary MI6 agent James Bond was killed in an unfortunate accident where a 4-foot-tall Asian gentleman slapped his knees 400 times. Just, whoa, 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 whoa. That's the thing as well. Did anyone ever get a kill with Oddjob that wasn't just revolved entirely around slapping people's knees? It's the best.
Probably not. No Oddjob. That was always the rule.
Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
It's like no Oddjob because that game, it was influential, pioneering for the genre of first-person shooters. It does not hold up because you can't look down. It's from that era of first-person shooters, if people forget or never played them, where every time you moved your character forward, your character would automatically look up. Because they didn't anticipate that people would be able to have that much finesse to control both the direction in which they're looking and the way they're moving. So every time you moved, your character would always look stock forward.
And I find it really funny because they recently did a re-release / remaster on depending on which console. It's do you want to play the Xbox version that's running at 4K with a better frame rate and you've got controls that work, or do you want to play the N64 version which has online play, which the Xbox doesn't? It's oh no.
Anyway, in the wild, crocodiles are considered to be apex predators, an impossibly bitching title given to animals for which nothing in their natural environment poses a threat to them. And are you familiar with the term apex predators, Lucas? Because it sounds rad, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the term, and I'm pretty sure you could just describe James Bond as an apex predator as well.
James Bond is an apex predator, yes, and other animals considered to be apex predators include things like sharks, lions, tigers. To an extent, things like hippos are technically considered to be apex predators because even though they don't hunt anything, nothing hunts them.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck with hippos.
Yes, and that's the famous thing people know, isn't it, about Africa of what's the most dangerous animal in the savannah? It's not the lion, it's not the wild dog, it's not the crocodile, it's not any of the creepy crawlies that can bite you and inject you with deadly venom. It is the hippo.
Oh no! Hungry hippo!
And since we're speaking about crocodiles today, I think the best example of how unfuckwithable hippos are is the fact that crocodiles will not attack hippos, and in fact, will freeze in place when a hippo walks upon them. And there are videos out there of hippos walking up to crocodiles and licking them. Big green lollipops, because the crocodiles will get salt on their scales, which the hippos like to lick. And because crocodiles are shit scared of hippos, they will just lie there and let that happen.
That's how scary hippos are, just the crocs won't do a thing.
The baby hippo immediately starts gnawing on the spines of the croc's back. Now, this has got to be annoying, but, well, what are they going to do? Anyway,
speaking of crocodiles being apex predators, let's now talk about the time a guy kicked 5 of them in the face wearing shoes made from their own kin. So Lucas, the genesis for this particular tale comes from the cocaine-laced haze that is the 1970s, and specifically the production of the Bond film Live and Let Die. You know, the one with Papa Shango in it? Do you know Papa Shango?
Do not remember Papa Shango.
Hi, Sir Karl here, and the character I'm describing in this moment is actually Baron Samedi. I hope that pronunciation is correct, I did look it up. But Papa Shango is a wrestler from the 90s who blatantly stole the gimmick, and I'm conflating the two, for which I apologise, but I thought I'd put this little voice line in instead of a note for the people who are going to go down to the comments and correct me.
Are you on the original article now?
Yeah, I'm on the article.
Just scroll down, and I'm going to wait for your reaction. I'm just ooh, that's the 1970s, all right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh. It's fair play, that actor got a job, but it's that's not great. So when you go back and watch old wrestling shows, isn't it? And it's they're billing Samoan people as Japanese, and it's oh, come on.
And that just looks to me like a screenshot of Resident Evil 5 with how bad it looks.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing as well, like, with RE4 Remake coming out, there is now the conversation of, well, if they remake Resident Evil 5, are they going to take out, like, all the racist stuff? And my opinion on that is, no, because they've not ever formally apologised for putting it in.
Mm-hmm.
And before anyone tries to argue that it's not racist, that game features literal mud hut living, spear throwing, whooping Africans.
Help me! How you want?
Miss me with that.
I mean, honestly, all you need is like a single screenshot of the entire like village tribe section. And it's like, oh no.
Yeah, it's like every time on occasion I do play like Resident Evil 5 on stream, you can check out the links below. And I'll put that level on and I'll just sit still for like 10 seconds, look at the screen and go, they thought this was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And because they never formally apologise for it, I think they shouldn't be able to take it out. They need to put more in.
I don't think they should put more in because I think that's encouraging them. But I think
no, they need to put more in, and then they need to stand by it. And then every time they talk about the artistic vision for the game, they need to have that screenshot behind them.
Never forget that they had to like add one singular white NPC character to the start of the game because, well, not NPC, but like, zombie-esque character model, because just every single person in Africa was black, and it's like, that's no, okay.
They never forget that trailer, which is just like white man with a gun gunning down African villagers, and they had no idea that looked. They had no idea how bad the optics for that were.
That's exactly what I mean. Yeah, it's just like that is a bad look.
Which more than anything is just like a great example of why you should have like diversity in hiring practices, so you don't shoot yourself in the dick like that.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't publicly be slamming your dick in a car door that often if you had like one black person on staff who could go, maybe don't put that in. So maybe if you're gonna put like you're gonna set this game in Africa, don't put all of the African enemies living in mud huts wearing grass skirts. And if you're gonna do that, don't make them whoop and wear tribal masks.
Yeah, it's so many levels of bad.
Oh yeah, like that's not even talking about the fact that like when they first announced Sheva, she had dark skin, and then they lightened her skin in later reveals. Don't forget that, Lucas.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You forgot that they made Sheva have lighter skin.
And if anyone doesn't know, for context, that's one of the 2 playable hero characters.
I think for that one as well, you just need to look at her next to Josh Stone and their best friends, who grew up in the same place, and I'm from the same region. It's like, oh yeah, one's a playable character, one's just in cutscenes for 5. And that reminds me as well, something else that happened to me. Like, so another game I play a lot is Revengeance, Metal Gear Solid Rising. And I realised that like at one point in the game, the game's in Mexico, and for Mexican NPCs, they just painted the white NPC slightly darker skinned.
No.
So they're like using like, is that
Did they just
digital
put, like,
brown face?
Ponchos and sombreros on too?
Yeah, they just put like it's the same NPC model, because I play that game a lot and I recognise the models. It's just the same model, but they just darken the skin. It's like, man, digital like brown face. Never thought I'd see it.
Guess you better arrest me then.
183-104.7, threatening a peace officer. Deadly force is authorized.
I will say as well, that's not me being nasty. Like, that's literally something they put on Raiden as a disguise while he's in Mexico, is just put him in a poncho and a sombrero.
Because it's the people there who look at him and go, what are you doing? Everyone calls him an idiot for doing that. One of the NPCs that looks at him is a white NPC that they darken the skin of.
Anyway, James Bond.
Anyway, James Bond, Live and Let Die. So, do you remember the film, Lucas, at all? Obviously not, because you don't remember Papa Shango. I can't remember if that's his name, or that's the name people used to describe him.
I got shown a lot of James Bond movies as a kid, but I don't really remember a lot of them.
They all kind of blend into one, don't they? Because you don't remember the specific film, you just remember James Bond drives a car. James Bond meets a hot lady. James Bond sexually harasses said hot lady. James Bond shoots some brown people.
No, don't forget about all the bad bits. Just remember, like, oh, well, I really like Roger Moore. It's like...
Felix! Felix, how are you? Dink, meet Felix Leiter.
Hello.
Felix, say hello to Dink.
Hi, Dink.
Dink, say goodbye to Felix. Man talk.
You know what, Lucas? What's like your favourite foreign region that James Bond has visited? Because I love that James Bond film where he visits Japan, and they have like an extended sequence of like all the Japanese people going, oh, "You're so hairy. Why are you hairy?" And you have like the literal geisha girls going, "Ooh, he's so handsome," and it's like, oh no, like I feel so bad for the actors in that scene. Like, you got paid, but fucking hell.
And number 2?
Rule number 2, in Japan, men always come first, women come second.
I might just retire to here.
Yeah, I don't even know, because like the ones that really stick out in my mind as like memorable places that he went, for me, the age that I am, are the Pierce Brosnan ones, where he went to a lot of like different Asian countries, and I don't remember any of it being great.
Oh man, I just like the James Bond film where James Bond beats up a karate master, played by an actual person who's good at martial arts, but then it's like Roger Moore or Sean Connery or whatever doing the fight scene, and then clearly they have no experience doing martial arts. So do you know that joke in Austin Powers, like, judo chop? That joke, people maybe don't know, comes from James Bond movies having such shit fight scenes where you would have like master martial artists like playing like nameless jobber villain number 3, do like a cool pose, and then James Bond just goes, yeah, and that's it.
It's weird looking at Austin Powers and realizing how much of it isn't really that far off James Bond.
No, it's like, do you know when they come in and it's like the 2 Japanese characters, Fook me and Fook you, and like remember the earliest James Bond we had pussy galore in it.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. That's like, those movies, like they're like not even like parodies per se. It's just they've got the parody thing. They put like one. It's one.
I mean, it depends, because obviously you've got like Fat Bastard, for example.
Is that really any worse than like Jaws? Who's the guy who's like 8 foot tall with metal teeth? Is that really like that's the thing? Imagine if Fat Bastard was in like James Bond and.
So they lean into it heavier with Austin Powers, but yeah, it's not much better.
Like, you could put Jaws into an Austin Powers movie and it'd fit.
Yeah.
Anyway, James Bond. So, in Live and Let Die, there is a scene which takes place in a crocodile farm. But that scene was actually the result of the producers driving around the shooting location of Jamaica and seeing an actual crocodile farm, which had the following sign outside of it. So I'm going to put the picture behind me, but Luke, if you want to scroll down and look at the sign and describe it to the folks at home and maybe just listening along and not watching.
I presume this is the next photo, which is a trespassers will be eaten sign that's on like a wooden fence with some like what look like wooden tribal shields on the front of them.
Yeah, so that was at the front of a crocodile farm owned by, and I'll get the guy's name now, if you want to get this guy's name right, Ross Kananga. And the producers like knocked on the gate and asked like, what's going on here? It's like, oh, it's a crocodile farm. It's like, how accurate is that science? Oh, it's pretty accurate. People keep breaking in and keep getting attacked by crocodiles. They should probably start doing that. Like, is this your crocodile farm? It's like, well, it is now. So what do you mean it is now? It's like, well, it used to be my dad's, but he died of crocodile wounds a few years ago. So yeah, it's my crocodile farm. And they're like, can we shoot something here? And he's like, sure, what do you want to shoot? And that was the question that I had producers pondering, because they knew they had to shoot something in this crocodile farm because it was like too good a location to pass up, but they didn't know what to do with it.
So they hadn't planned to utilize this in any way. They just gone past a crocodile farm and went, that'd be fun.
Yeah, well, that's like an underappreciated and in some cases unknown aspect of filmmaking, which is location scouting. Of just driving around an area looking for cool places to shoot. Like, the John Wick movies are probably a really good example of this, where most of those later movies, like part of their charm, appeal, and draw is that they have Keanu Reeves just walking around in cool locations. Like, location scouts have to find those.
So where's your man? Oh, there he is.
That's a thing that happens with a lot of other pieces of media as well, like often goes like underlooked and in some cases underappreciated. Like, do you remember a few years ago, was it like Glenn Schofield from like Dead Space or something, was getting shit on Twitter for travelling to locations for location scouting? And like, oh, he just goes on holiday and he expects to get paid. He's like, no, I'm doing location scouting for Call of Duty game.
Because they were talking about like how they went to this place to get access to like special weapons that they could use for both like location scouting, and it was like, yeah, going and recording themselves like firing off a bunch of weapons that they could get in this location. And then, well, you just went on holiday then, didn't you? It's like, no, I was doing a job. Like, admittedly, something that sounds like it might be a cool job, but it's still a job.
And anyone who's even dipped their toes into the world of business or just has a job knows what that stuff is. And it's always fascinating to me. We have a friend who works in this industry, and they are very, and it's fascinating to me because we have a friend who works in a similar industry, and they once very bluntly put it of, I love this job but also hate it because it's one of the few jobs where you are forced to listen to fucking morons who don't know what they're talking about. And he was specifically referring to things like Twitter, where you have people on there insisting that they know more about your job than you do because a YouTuber told them something. And I say that as a YouTuber telling people things.
So, Carl, tell me about the time somebody kicked a crocodile with a crocodile.
Well, what they eventually decided to do with the crocodiles was largely informed by conversations they had with Kananga, where they asked him, like, so what does a crocodile farm do? Like, well, mostly people come in and look at the crocodiles, but we also have, like, shows. And he goes, yeah. You know, I perform with the crocodiles. Like, are the crocodiles trained? Like, no, they're crocodiles. But I'm all right at dealing with the crocodiles. No one else would probably do it, but I will because I'm a madman.
I mean, you say that, but he's also the person who just said his dad died from crocodile wounds.
Yeah, but you know what? He was shit, wasn't he? It's like, get good. Like, do you know what that is, Lucas? Skill issue. Crocodile-related skill issue. But eventually, the producers, after a conversation with Kananga, decided that the stunt they would do is have James Bond run across the backs of crocodiles like angry leathery logs.
As like a bridge, an angry bridge.
And that's something that's literally in cartoons, isn't it? Like running along the backs of crocodiles or running along what you think is a log and it turns out to be a crocodile. So let's do it for real. But when, like, you know, they asked Kananga if this was possible, well, it would be possible, but only for someone called Ross Kananga.
Kananga was the only man who would try the stunt.
He did something you couldn't have paid me $1 million to do.
It had taken writer Tom Mankiewicz only moments to type the words, but it takes Ross Kananga weeks of preparation to create the stunt.
So, like, did this guy just do the stunt himself then?
Well, you basically had to, because when producers asked all the stuntmen they had, all of them categorically refused to do it. Very wisely pointing out that they might get eaten by a crocodile, to which Ross Kananga just nodded and went, they might get eaten by a crocodile, yeah. Like, if the crocodile gets them, I might jump in and help them, but it's a crocodile. And it reminds me a little bit of, do you know in Jackass? I don't know which one of the movies, but like where Steve-O tightropes over the crocodile pit.
Yeah.
Then there's that great bit with like their animal expert, Manny Puig, I think it is, where he says, well, if a gator gets Steve-O, well, it's an alligator pit, I think, yeah, but like, you know, same basic difference. And they say,
similar
well,
animals.
Yeah, if the gator gets him, he should relax, let it take him, and hopefully he'll let him go. And that's like their expert of like, well, what do I do if I get bitten by like, you know, one of these things? Well, let it take it, and it might let go.
If he falls and he lands near an alligator grabs a hold of him, Steve-O will relax, let the alligator take him, and hope that the alligator will release him.
Hi, I'm Steve-O, and this is Alligator Tightrope.
And that's the plan. Or just it might let go and get bored.
They heard that and went, okay, let's strap some meat to him and put him on a tightrope.
And I still love that clip in Jackass, though, where it's just like, you see him backing up, but you see the crocodiles go, oh, it goes so smooth. They move so smoothly through the water, I love it.
I remember there was an episode of Mythbusters where they tested, like, should you run away from a crocodile in a zigzag? And they were like, no, that's a stupid idea, just fucking run from the crocodile.
Belt it, yeah, because crocodiles, contrary to what their appearance may suggest, like they look quite like lazy, for lack of a better term, like quite slow, quite immobile, quite lackadaisical, but they are capable of quite astonishing bursts of speed, faster than most humans, in fact. But they can only do that over a short period of time and largely ambush predators. So they will, when desperate, chase someone to hunt them, but mostly they'll chase to scare people away. Like, I think the quote about crocodiles is like, well, what's the most dangerous time for there to be a crocodile around? It's like when you can't see the crocodile. Like, you can see the crocodile, it's not as scary or dangerous because you can see the crocodile. If you can't see the crocodile, that's when you're in trouble.
So, like, if they're just, like, chilling on the beach next to where you are, they're not going to really ambush you. You can see what's happening, whereas, like, when you just see, like, the two little eyes poking above the water, that's when you should be scared.
Then you can see that in like the animal kingdom, can't you? And you'll watch like animal like documentaries, and you'll see like, oh, is it a pride of lions? And you'll just see some deer walking past. They know that if they can see the lion, they're probably going to be all right.
True.
It's like, but when you're jumping on the back of a crocodile, that's like, that's logic doesn't really apply. And things got a little bit worse for Kananga though, because he was pretty sure he could do the stunt because he'd done it before as part of his show. The only safety thing he requested is that they lightly tie the crocodiles down. So they could still snap, they could still bite, but they had like ropes tied around them quite loosely, and they were anchored with rocks. So the crocodiles were fine. Like, they weren't trapped, they weren't like in any danger, it's just they couldn't really move all that much. And after the stunt was done, he like cut them free and they were free to roam after that. But he did that to keep them in place. But the problem was though, I think it was Roger Moore had the idea too that, well, James Bond should be wearing crocodile skin shoes when he does.
It was a rather smart idea when we were doing wardrobe before we started the film. I said, well, why don't I have crocodile shoes?
Do you think this is a good idea, Guy?
I think it's a beautiful idea.
Oh, of course.
Because like that's such a great visual, isn't it? Like you're gonna run along the backs of crocodiles wearing crocodile skin shoes. And Kananga was all for it, even though crocodile skin dress shoes didn't have much in the way of traction. And he got dressed up like James Bond, tried to do the stunt, and then fell into the water.
Oh no.
At which point he was immediately attacked by crocodiles, which, I shit you not, Lucas, ate his shoes.
It was an insult to their honour, Carl.
So they had to get 5 pairs of these shoes made. You might wonder why 5. That's because Kananga did this stunt 5 times, and every time he failed, he fell into the water, and the crocodiles immediately ate his shoes.
What a mistake. I had the skin of one of their cousins. They were out to get me.
I mean, I guess that's weirdly consistent of them to keep eating the shoes.
Yeah, right, and Kananga was really baffled. The bloody bastards just keep eating my shoes. But he did get the stunt, and it made it into the film. And when you see this clip, remember, this is an actual dude actually stepping on the backs of crocodiles. And now, just for fun, here's a clip of him fucking it up. And remember, he is fine, and he probably deserved it a little bit.
Yeah, and like I imagine the crocodiles were fine, but a bit pissed off at the end of it.
Is that thing, isn't it, of like a crocodile is not going to mind if, like, the weight of a person's on it for a quarter second. Like, it reminds me of I think it's like a video going on like YouTube years ago. It's like a guy playing with his dog. It's like a dog that does backflips or something like that. Do you know that thing you do with a dog, like when it's being like, it's really excited and you like, you pat it. Really, like, you're not hitting the dog, but you slap it on its sides and you ruffle its face up because it gets
just
excited.
A bit of excited playing with them, yeah.
Yeah, because dogs, when they play, they do that. And there's comments people like, he's abusing that dog. And the dog's wagging its tail and fucking loving it. It's like, no, he's roughhousing with the dog because this is how dogs show affection.
And it's like, you compare that to when you watch like a dog play with another dog, and like, I've got a little sausage dog, and he's a miniature as well. And even like dogs like 3, 4, 5 times the size of him, you can see him getting knocked around playing with them, and he's wagging his tail and he's going back for more. And you know, like not always, obviously, but you know, when he's enjoying playing, things can get a bit rough and tumbly.
Yeah, and like the Crocodiles were fine, but this was a guy who owned what was essentially a sideshow in Jamaica, so we can't say for sure that the Crocodiles were treated all that well, which is why the footage of him getting attacked by them is at the very least a little bit cathartic.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit, yeah. And that's something that happened a lot in those early James Bond movies. Like the most famous one is the car flip. Not the one people are thinking about in the modern movies where the car flips over like 800 times, which was a world record in an accident, like a genuine accident where they were going to flip a car. And they put too much pressure in like the air canister and it flipped like 18 times or something stupid. There was another earlier one which that scene was a reference to, where they're driving in this car and it goes over a ramp and does a loop. And they legitimately didn't think that anyone would have the balls to do that for real until they found this dude who's like, no, I can do it. I do it all the time. And like they do that classic, like, you know, old action movie thing of showing the stunt like 4 times, because why would you not? Why would you not show that stunt multiple times? It's fucking rad.
Yeah, if you've genuinely got a clip of somebody doing that, you want to show it off as much as possible.
Yeah, and like, you know, early James Bond movies were like rife with that. So even though, like, you know, they've not aged all that well in some regards,
no,
those stunts were people doing crazy ass things for real. And in that sense, I think they do have value. At the very least, just spectacle. And since in part we've been talking about clothing today, if you like the t-shirt I'm wearing, you can't get this one because I've got it, but you can get merch that we make in collaboration with our friends over at Psycho, found at the links below.
Yeah, if you want to buy t-shirts that Carl's actually worn, that's a different website altogether.
That happened. I bumped into a guy who recognised me. He's like, "Oh, I love your videos," and I had one of the Forbidden Knowledge Keeper t-shirts on me, and I went, "Oh, well, would you like this?" Like, we've just finished. I'd literally just finished recording. We've gone into the pub to have a drink for afterwards, and I gave it to them. They're like, "Oh, thanks." And then I realised afterwards, like, that's my only one. I can't. We needed that for promotional purposes, and now that guy has literally the only one in existence because they've not been printed yet.
That was just the prototype, Carl.
Yeah, I thought because I got home thinking I had another one, and I don't.
Oh,
so
no.
we also have like the t-shirt you're going to see in the end card, potentially still available for pre-order, depending on when this video goes out. Go check that out too. I can't show you it because I gave it away to a fan.
Well, Carl, turn around and show this one off at least.
Show that one off. Yeah. Perfect, and that's like 28 minutes. So that'll be a fun one to edit, I feel.